Hello. Let's make sure. Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Thanks for making today live if you are here live. And if you are here catching the recording, as always, feel free to let me know in the comments of the video if you have any questions, things that you wanted some clarification on. But just to start with, again, thank you for being here. I am always excited to talk about any topics related to therapy intensives because ultimately they are super great for your practice if you want some variety in the 45, 50, 60-minute weekly sessions. If you're looking to do deeper work, more meaningful work, help clients accelerate their therapy process and progress, and also charge a premium fee, then you are in the right place. So if you are new to this group, if you are new to catching one of these videos, just to introduce myself, my name is Amanda Baduris. I am a licensed psychologist in Oregon in private practice. And when I left my agency work, I was making like $6,000 a month. When I transitioned into, after my first year of private practice, I was making closer to 10K months. Now that I'm doing therapy intensive packages, so I don't see all my clients in an intensive way, but I sell kind of one-off or adjunct therapy intensive packages. Now I make at least 12K a month. Sometimes I'm making up to 22, 23K a month. So this can really change a lot of what's possible for you in your practice. On a weekly basis, I'm only seeing 10 to 12, sometimes 15 if I'm seeing some of those like monthly maintenance people, but I keep my weekly, bi-weekly people, I keep that caseload very small so that I can make time for working with people in this intensive way. I don't usually schedule more than one weekend intensive a month, and usually I have a couple of like a 3-hour or a 4-hour weekday intensive throughout the week, which just helps to, again, fill in a little bit of that gap because I've got the time, I've got the energy, and I'm making more money. I'm not worried about, where's the next client going to come from, because people are out here looking for therapy intensives. They may not always know that that's what it's called, but there are a lot of people Googling therapy intensives near me. So we're just going to really dive into, right? We're not going to talk about the marketing aspect of it. I've got some other videos on that. If you have not seen those before, go ahead and check out the guide section of this group. But today we are talking about, how do you go to ultimately your hottest lead for making, booking a therapy intensive, which are the clients you are already working with. These are people who already know you, presumably they already like you and they already trust you. And they probably also have that experience of, oh, we were just getting into the good stuff and then we had to wrap up and now I'm going to have to shove all this stuff back down and wait till next week, maybe even 2 weeks to bring it all back up. Right? There are a lot of clients who already are frustrated with the traditional model of therapy that's proposed and managed by insurance companies, and there are people who are looking for different. So whether you do couples work, if you do a lot of trauma work, both of those are my specialty actually. There are people who want to work in an extended way. There are plenty of people who can't do weekly sessions. So there's probably people not on your caseload, even though they'd love to work with you because they're a busy professional who travel to different states frequently for work, or maybe they just work really long, unpredictable hours and they need something to just be, give me 2 to 4 hours here, let's get some work done, and it will be great. So again, this is already about like who is on your caseload, who are you doing work with, who are you noticing there's that repeated pattern of it takes really long to get into the content, to get into the thing that they're trying to process, the thing that they want to work through, the thing that they want to heal from. Does that already take a long time? Are they already feeling pretty frustrated with, well, I don't feel like I'm getting better. I've been here for months, maybe even years, and it just feels like nothing's changing. I want it to change faster. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I've had those conversations with clients before of like, why am I not getting better? I've been here every week for months. So before I knew about intensives, I would feel stuck in that too. It feels really crappy as a therapist to feel like I'm doing everything I can, I'm really trying here, and it just doesn't work, right? Something's missing. And that's where we get into the mindset of, well, maybe if I just take another training, maybe people have said EMDR or brain spotting school, which they are. People have said like IFS works great, which it does, right? Like we can get into that mindset of maybe it's just me. Maybe I am as the therapist am the problem. I'm not doing enough. Or sometimes we go to the client of, well, they're just being really resistant, or, they are stuck, or, whatever it is. We point to a lot of other things as the problem, as opposed to maybe it's just the time. That's the problem. Maybe we just didn't have enough time. And so think about those clients that you're already noticing. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. They're frustrated. I'm frustrated. And just ask, like, hey, would you be curious in trying something different? I've noticed that we get stuck in this way. I notice a lot of times, we plan to wrap up at 50 minutes, but then it goes to 57, and then we're actually wrapping up at 63. Like I've noticed it might just feel really helpful if we had some time to expand on some things. If we just had a little bit more time to do something different here. I think if we did that, we would really be able to just do something different to help you experience your goals. I really want that for you. And naturally, right, like if you bring this to your clients, they're going to have some questions around like, was that even an option? Well, what does that mean? What would that look like? What would we actually do differently? And so you can field those questions, right? You let them know, okay, well, this could look at a few different ways. And this depends on how you would want to do it in your practice. But to let them know, like, even if we just scheduled consistent 75-minute sessions or 90-minute sessions, I do 90-minute every other week therapy sessions with my therapist because I like being able to do more work at once. And as a busy therapist myself, I don't want to go in for an hour, dive in, pull all this stuff up, and then have to put it all back down to go on to my next therapy client. So for me, I am a believer in, there are people who are also like us out there who just want to have a more sacred set time to, here's my protected time where here's where I dive in and I don't have to do it for a while. I've got some time to let it settle. I've got some time to be intentional about what am I going to do in the next session. So if you do it in that way, if that would be something that you offer your current clients of, even just for now, let's just try, instead of 45, 50, 60 minutes, let's try 75. Let's try 90. Most people are going to be pretty amenable to that because it's really not that much more, right? Especially if they're already doing 60 minutes, an extra 15. It's like, okay, cool. Sometimes we already went to 75, and maybe as a therapist, you had your own difficulties with charging the extra fee for that. I hope you don't. I know I've been there. Now I'm not. So just to figure out, is it just the extra 15 minutes we're going to do? Are we going to do an extra 30? I've also had some clients who have seen things I've posted on my social media about, like, here are the benefits of a therapy intensive. And my own clients who follow me, which I don't ask them to, but they just end up finding me, they've pointed to like, hey, you posted something on Instagram the other day. That actually sounds really cool. That sounds like that would be really good for me. And then I booked a 3-hour intensive because of that. And there are also ways that you can just send like an office update of now offering therapy intensives. Here's what that looks like. Again, whether for you that's these 75-minute, 90-minute appointments, maybe even 2-hour appointments, or if you do want to do something a little bit more like a therapy intensive package, right? Okay, so we're going to do 3 to 4 hours every day for 3 days. We can do that back to back. We can do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can pitch those kind of packages to them. With those, they might have a little bit more questions because, okay, well, I was maybe on board when it was just 60 to 75 minutes, but 12 hours or 9 hours of therapy in a week, that's a lot, isn't it? Is that bad? Do you really think I need that much, right? Like a lot of those kind of questions might come up online, but then you can know how to field those, right? Like how would you answer if a client is saying, like, why is my therapist offering this to me? Do they really think that I'm like that broken, that messed up? Of course not, right? That's not what this is about. This is about, I want to give you the best care possible. And I don't think the traditional way that thousands of therapists have been doing this for decades, I don't think that's it, right? Like this is a more modern approach to therapy. That's really all that this is. Again, an intensive is just a fancy word for an elongated session. And so letting them know, right, this is not about because I think you need all this help. This is not because I think something's wrong. This is because, this isn't something that a lot of therapists do. Maybe even sharing like, I'm newer to offering it myself, but I really believe in it because I've heard other therapists have really good success stories. I really think that this would be beneficial for us to do. Like whatever objections, fears, anxieties that might come up for them, I trust that you, in your clinical skills, you know how to navigate those kind of conversations. But just to be prepared for that, of like, what would a client say? What might a client say? What might they worry about? Whether you're just proposing, how about an extra 15, an extra 30 minutes, or if you are introducing something more like 1 3-hour, 1 4-hour, a package of multiple 3 to 4 hour days. So, right, they're going to ask questions about like the clinical aspect. And then from a like logistical aspect, like, well, what's that going to look like? How's it going to look different? Is it going to look different? Maybe not. Like literally sometimes the only difference is you've got more time. And so to be talking with them about, if you are a therapist who does EMDR, IFS, brain spotting, Gottman, EFT, whatever you do, you basically just have more time to do that, right? So we're just going to be doing more of the same. That's about it. Right? The benefit is you already know your clients, so you've already done the assessments. You don't have to do those all over again. There might be some that could be helpful if you haven't done it going into your assessment and your initial intake of the client. Like if you do want to assess for dissociation, if you want to assess for even more about like, well, what's your support system look like? Those might be things that would be helpful. But otherwise, you have a lot of that information. And so just to let them know, right, it's going to be just a lot more of the same, right? We're not doing much different. It's just we're going to have more time for it. They might ask questions about paying for it. So whether it's someone who is an insurance client, obviously they're going to ask about, well, does insurance cover that? I've got another video where I talk a little bit about those pieces. So go back and watch that because it's it depends kind of question or answer, one of our favorite kind of answers. But if they're insurance-based, they might ask those questions. If they're private pay, still going to have the same questions. And there are lots of ways that you can talk with them about, here's how, yes, it's a little bit more of an investment up front, because I always encourage therapists, don't just set like a prorated fee. Like if you're doing, here's my 60-minute session, my 90-minute session is just my 60-minute plus half of that because that's 90 minutes and then there's my fee. It's more work for you. So charge some kind of a percentage higher. You get to figure out what that percentage is. What do you feel most comfortable with? But that's this whole aspect of working harder or working smarter, not harder. Like if you are just prorating your fee, you're just working more. You're not actually working smarter. So you can explain that as a part of the process of like, I do charge a percentage up, whatever you choose that to be. I have not had a typical client of mine fight me on that or ask why, because they get it, right? They're like, oh yeah, that does sound like a lot of work for the both of us, but that also makes sense because you can share psychoeducation around, this is how you're actually going to save money in the long run, because we're going to get to a lot of those things that are distressing you faster, right? Not that I don't want to keep working with you, but if you're like me, you probably joke with a lot of your therapy clients of like, I hope to not see you forever. I hope to not work with you for the rest of either of our lives, right? Like the goal is, let's get you to healing, and then you can always come back as needed, but to not perpetuate this belief that people have to be in therapy forever and that therapy intensives are a solution to a lot of that, of helping people work even faster through their pains so that they can have more time in their life not being in the pain, that they are. So when you're really pitching to them, like, here's the value of this, right? Some people still are going to be like, financially, I just can't make that work, and that's fine. But there's going to be a lot more people than you might think who are going to find a way to make it work. And it is not on you to decide what your client does with their money, right? There's probably already some decisions that you question of theirs. I know I've got some judgments on where my clients spend their money, but that's neither here nor there. People choose to spend their money on what they value. That's okay. If they value themselves enough to book an intensive with you, that's a really good sign, right? So if it needs to go on a credit card, and we've all got feelings about credit cards, that is what it is, right? They are choosing, it's giving you the money, but it's really investing in themselves. It's investing in their progress and in their process. So really just thinking about, like, again, who are those clients you're already working with? Who are you noticing is feeling stuck? Who do you think might be most open to trying something new? And then what are the questions that you might foresee them asking, right? So insurance, finances, what's going to look different about it? How do we figure this out with scheduling? Because obviously if 1 hour in their week was already hard enough to kind of work around, well, now what's it going to look like if we do 3 to 4 hours? What's it going to look like if we do 3 to 4 times a week? So that's all up to you in terms of figuring out, as you think about maybe offering those types of intensive packages, to even look a few months ahead of your calendar and see, is this something I can start blocking off now? So that as I start pitching it to people, I can also start offering them a date around it. So what I had done, when I first started doing intensives, I was doing a lot on the weekends. And then as I was shifting things in my schedule, I looked 3 months ahead and I said, okay, every other Monday, that is just a day for intensives. So that's what I do now. Now it's really easy. I've actually had people on a consultation call for like a Thursday, and I said, great, I can get you in on Monday, right? I'm like, how rare is that for people who are wanting support really quickly? So a lot of benefits to just looking at your schedule ahead of time and planning for these therapy intensives to be successful. Because if you believe in them, if you can sell them really well to your clients, they're going to want it, right? The more you're talking with your current clients, the more you're putting it on your website. Therapist directories are going to be a little hit or miss because a lot of people look for insurance on those anyway. But the more you get the word out there, the more success that you're going to have. And so all of these pieces, right, I'm giving you tidbits of information around, here's kind of some of the conversations you can have. Here's how you can think about how to word that, who you kind of point to, how you do office updates, things like that. Those are all kind of things to be thinking about, like what's going to work for you. This is also information that I teach in my coaching program, where I'm talking more in depth around like all the components of this piece around therapy intensives. So to be thinking through, like, well, what exactly am I going to offer? What's going to work for me? Do I do like a working intensively model? Am I doing a therapy intensive package model? So figuring out just like the structure, the logistics, what things do I think about with paperwork, with scheduling, with taking care of myself, because those can be really long days sometimes. All those pieces, how do I market them to current and new clients? How do I market them to people in the community? All those things are things that I will teach you in my program, as well as how do I write copy about it? How do I sell it in a compelling way that's not cringe? It's not like salesy. You're just showing people like this is an offer. This is something that can be beneficial, and then just seeing what happens from that. So how do I write about it? And then money mindset work that might come up for you around, well, I don't know if anyone's even going to pay me that. I charge anywhere between, I think my lowest right now is like $2,400 and my highest goes over $6,000 for my different therapy intensive packages. When I first started offering that, I didn't think anyone was going to buy it. And now I'm shocked when sometimes I'm making 10 grand a month just from intensives. And it's not that much more work in my schedule, and because I've been intentional about that. Again, I don't see a lot of individual clients. I see couples too. So I don't see a lot of hourly clients in a week, so that I can make space for this, so that I feel more balanced overall. So money mindset work, if you've got any limiting beliefs, any blocking things that are kind of coming up for you, if you're feeling imposter syndrome about offering intensives, like, do I even have the skills? Do I have enough training? Is this something I can do? I haven't been in this field that long. If that's coming up for you, let's talk about it. Let's work through that, because absolutely anyone can do this. There are some ways that you can learn how to do it more effectively, more efficiently, with less stress and less of all the DIY of like, how do I Frankenstein all these things together from this copywriting course, this marketing course, this intensive course, right? Just like my program is all about how do we take all those things and give it to you as quickly as possible. That's what people are doing right now in my program. I've got 5 people who are learning all about, just how to do this in a way that helps give them that freedom, that flexibility, that increase in their income, because those are all things that therapists want, right? I think post-COVID, we're all just realizing we don't need to be doing things the way that we've been doing them. So that's what my program is all about. And so I want to give time for if there are any questions as we're kind of winding down, and I will answer them if they come up. But otherwise, again, just to share, like, you can be really successful financially with doing intensives, but also just the confidence that I have felt increase in my work since I'm doing work in a way that works so much better for so many more clients. I feel like the most confident I've ever felt in my career. I look forward to working. And again, I actually have more balance in my life, which I think is something that we're all always looking for. Of what does that work-life balance look like? I don't know. It feels like mostly work, right? I'm excited to take weeks off at a time. In July, I took a week off, and then in August, I turned around, worked for a week, and then took another week off. And last month, so August, I took that week off, and I still made $16,000 because of intensives. I didn't overwork myself. I don't think I worked more than 20 hours any week, but this is a lot of the success that you can have, right? This is not special to me. It's not just something about me that I'm making this work. This is really about, I just have a lot of information that I do really well at narrowing down and give you a step-by-step blueprint of how do you make this work for you. And so if you are interested in learning more about that program, I offer free 30-minute consultation calls to answer any questions, see if that even makes sense for us to work together in the paid program. There's absolutely no pressure in those calls. For this week, I am doing a Labor Day week sale. So if you get scheduled by the end of the week, your appointment doesn't have to, your call doesn't have to be this week, but that sale will apply to you if you just get scheduled within the week. So thank you all for watching and joining. I look forward to hearing you talk about how you are reaching out to your current clients, seeing if they are interested in transitioning to an intensive therapy kind of treatment plan. And as always, feel free to let me know if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, leave them in the chat. But if not, then I will just go ahead and sign off, and I will see you for the next live. Thank you all. Bye-bye.